Hi everyone and welcome to Eat Pray Art. Today's session we're going to be looking at Proverbs 16 verse 24. Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. It's actually interesting that this verse talks about the honeycomb, because if you look at a bee is a wonderful creator of sweetness, but a bee sting is the opposite of sweetness. Sometimes our words can be like stingers and hurt extremely sharp, like a bee sting. But when our words are not hurtful and they are gracious, gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. I really like this verse because it's beautiful that words are compared to honey. So I chose the bee because the bee is the creator of honey, of course, obviously. But then the opposite of that, when the bee doesn't create the honey and instead stings, not only is it the death of the bee, the creator of the honey, but also the death. It hurts a lot when you are stung by a bee. And some bee stings, if you're allergic to, they can even cause death. So that is also like our words, where our words, like even in the Bible it says, no, the tongue has the power of life and death. Not everyone will feel confident to maybe draw bee. I am also a little scared to draw bee free-handed. This was done digitally, which is a lot more easier. But yeah, so we're going to be drawing this together. And so this is our reference. This is the breakdown of a bee. So the top, these are the legs of the bee. And I haven't gotten biological into the bee, but this is the basic idea for you. There's an eye on top, there's a head, and there's a small neck, and then this middle part is called the thorax. So head, thorax, and then the abdomen, which is this part. Interestingly, when you look at the parts of a bee, most of this is black. What I've done is created highlights, which look at, if there was light hitting here or coming from here or coming from here. So normally I like the light coming from the left. So this is why the light is reflecting on the bee and in the eyes. And then of course this, my most famous and loved art tip is leave white space for reflection and highlights. So do that. This I used very light black, and then I made it kind of a gray, because bee wings are kind of a transparent white, but I just did this to create a little bit of contrast. So now we're going to get started drawing the bee. Now it's not, this is also my first attempt to draw. So I'm going to use a paper this size. You can use an A4 paper. I'm using a smaller paper. So again, we broke it down, right? The head. So the head is not a circle, it's more like an oval. So this is like an oval, right? And then I'm joining the neck a little bit in the bottom. And then again, I'm creating a little bigger body, the thorax, which is not a square, but it's kind of like a curved square. So this is like a curved rectangle oval, and this is like a square but with curves. Okay, and here, according to the reference, I've created some detailing on the thorax, and here I've left it white. So I'm just drawing the lines for the reflection. Okay. Right. Now that's the thorax done, and now we'll move to the abdomen. Again, this is like a pointy, I don't know, like a cone, but keep your hands loose. Okay, like don't try and make, like I'm not making my line like this. I'm going very light and kind of dancing with the line, so that way it gives me more control. Okay, so now I'm creating a shape, but I'm going to close it because, as you can see, the abdomen needs to end with a pointiness, and give this little bee a small stinger. It's not going to use it, but we'll give it for protection in case it needs it. Okay, now from the abdomen is one leg. So for now, I'm not going to draw details. I'm just drawing a line. Okay. So I'm just drawing a line that's curving, that looks like it's coming outside. Okay. And then I'm drawing some legs coming out like this, and legs coming out like this. So the legs generally come out. This is a very active bee. So the legs come out between the thorax and the abdomen. Okay. Now I could easily draw a line here, but what I'm choosing to do is I'm going to curve the lines to give it a little body. Okay. So I'm going to curve. I'm going to curve to give it a little shape. So then when you curve the lines in a shape, it gives a little depth. And then of course we'll get a more depth with our coloring and our tones. And yeah. Now I've created some lines, right? Now this is looking a little bit like the bee. Now here we come back up here and we draw some lines. So again, I'm going to do a little oval here. I'm going to draw the eye bigger than it should be. Some bees have big eyes, some bees have bulgy eyes. So yeah. So, and I'll give it a bit of a nose. And from between the nose and the eyes, I'm coming up with an antenna. Okay, a curved line like this, and two little antenna points where you can watch TV. Just kidding. Okay, now the wings are a little bit hard. So now what I'm going to do is I was in the wrong place. From the middle of the thorax, where I drew this line, right? I'm going to draw what I say is a heart. Okay, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to close the heart here. Okay, you don't need to draw the heart, but I'm doing a heart. Okay, similarly, I'm going to draw a heart and I'm going to close the heart here. Okay, now just draw a line like this. The top wing is a little longer than the small wing, but I've basically now just cut the heart and created a shape to follow a wing, where this part of the wing is bigger and this part is shorter. Now I'm getting an eraser. Normally I don't like erasers, but because I'm using this eraser. I don't know what this is called, but this is generally to lighten the line. So I'm dragging it to delete this line because I don't want it at all. Okay, but later when I paint, I will want to erase these main lines. Okay, so now what you got is a semblance of a let's move the hard part of the heart. Okay, now what you've got is a semblance of wings. Now you can change the shape if you'd like. If you'd like to extend this part, you can do that. That bee has to be your bee. Okay, I'm copying my own bee, but you create yours. Now remember, the legs are going into this. Okay, so now like we learned in trees, right? So here we'll just do a line and we'll come to the end, but just like trees, we'll create some lines like veins and extend the long line above. Okay, all right, and then just create a curved line joining some of these lines. Okay, this is not a biological drawing of a bee, just giving disclaimers. This is just my interpretation of a bee. You are more than welcome to create your own interpretation of a bee. I'm just giving you a demonstration of how I'm drawing it. So these are kind of little veins on the. So I'm not drawing, again, I'm not drawing straight lines. I'm drawing I'm keeping my line work loose. Okay. And don't forget the legs are here. We'll be playing with the legs a little later. But again, just find a point and kind of join the curved lines. The more simple your line is, the better it will be. So that is something that is important. I'm deleting the thing inside, the line inside. Okay. Now what's important is, what I like to do is create a line to create a shadow. Okay. Sorry, highlight. Now create a highlight line. I generally do that because then I know there's a marking where I want this to be highlighted. Now there are highlights here as we talked about. So in that also I'll just erase the line work in that to create that white space. Okay. This is probably the most complicated drawing I have done. I don't know about you, but this is mine. All right. So now we've got two legs here. I'm drawing a small little V where the legs are. An antenna doesn't need a V. This is just for legs. So 1, 2, 3, 4 legs. Ooh, I forgot one more leg. So here from the top of the thorax comes another leg. And I call this the bees praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Okay. So this is your illustration of the bee, right? Here you can write the verse. Now the challenge is not the bee. The challenge for me at least was the honeycomb. Okay. So we're going to attempt to do the honeycomb. So it's a line and triangle and a line. My daughter says it's a hexagon. So it's a hexagon. Camera went off when I was making these, so I'm gonna do a few more here. So it's basically a line and two slanted lines, and then two slanted lines again, and then close it. So again, if you're joining it, then it's a line, two slanted lines. This one's already made, and then so since this and this is made, slanted lines, slanted lines. So So I'm keeping my hands loose when I'm making it, so it's not fixed. So even if I make a mistake, like if I make a mistake, then I can just go over it. All right. Feel like I've made a mistake there, but because I was light, again, it won't be. So more than the bee, I find the honeycombs more challenging. But you can tell me what you found more challenging. This will take a little time. It took me time. I guess once you get your shape sorted, then it's just a matter of. So the idea is just doing a few of these on the side to create a bit of a border. So this is too straight, so I'll extend this a little bit. Again, keep your lines loose. That'll be too close to its legs. I won't go up that fast, but okay. So don't worry about being perfect in this phase. It's not easy. See, like I drew some diamond here. So that's not the point of doing a diamond. You can do ink work right now and line everything that you've done, but because I've decided not to do that, I'm going to go straight into the paint phase. For that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be lightening these lines, right? So first I'll lighten all this because the pencil lines can go a little heavy. Okay. If you don't have this kind of eraser, then an eraser like this will be fine. So I'm doing it ever so slightly, like the hard lines I'm deleting, but so it's giving like a semblance. I can always come back and delete it more later, but this is just to give me an idea of my line work. Okay, so yeah. So let's start the painting. I'm going to use this mop brush. It's like my favorite brush. And I'm going to do a bright yellow. And again, remember to leave white spaces. But I'm just going to mark yellow into this, okay? while we're letting this end dry, we'll move to another end. Okay. I'm not actually lining it. I'm just dabbing, blotching some color into the boxes. Eventually it will create a form, but for now I'm just marking the color. And I'm not being particularly neat because watercolor is not, it's not supposed to be, I mean, if you'd like to be perfect, that's great, but I'm trying not to be so perfect. Okay, now I am lining just the lines that I'd like to mark. I'm going to go darker in this side. I'm just creating some line work with my brush. Okay, and again, according to my light source is coming from here, so the shadow will be the other side, which is why I'm marking a darker tone here. I've left a little white space here on the corner, but I'm going to go here and mark this corner. And as you see, I'm not really being precise. I'm just creating a backward L. I can always go over the colors later, but right now I'm just creating some highlights and shadow marks. Okay, so since we've got the yellow already in our paintbrush, let me mark the yellow for this. So I'd like to create a yellow marking here, and again I'm leaving a white space here just for the highlight. Now don't worry if yours isn't looking the way you'd like it to. It is all painting, doesn't look very great when you're doing it because you're like, it has to come to its form. So that's there. Now that we've got the yellow, let's go a little darker in the sides. Now again, like I said, shadow is this side, so I'm just creating a red mark here. Okay, just to create some depth. Now since I have the paint already, I'm going back and creating a little more depth. I'm just lining it a little outside the line that I already made. It looks almost brown right now. I'm going to paint the wings, but I don't want it black, obviously, and I don't want it white. I want it a very light gray. So I mixed a lot of white and black, but there's also a little bit of yellow, which you may notice, to give it like this almost. Okay. I'm just going by the shape of what I've already done. Okay. I will go back to line this with ink once it dries. Now that's done. Now let's play with the blacks. Now I'm not going to go straight on with, I'm going to layer the black. So first let's line the area which is not the highlight. Okay, first we'll line it with a very light layer of black. I'm also going over this, the highlight on the thorax, and I'm coming down, but I'm leaving this white. Okay. And again. I'm just going over the gray. Now I'm going to build a little bit of the, I'm actually going to go over this because I'm going to build the corners. Okay. So now I'm just over this, I'm going over the parts which I'm layering a little more paint, the parts which I don't want. So when it dries, this part that I've left will be lighter. Any area you want to leave a little gap, you can. Like I'm going to leave a little gap here where the eye is. Now, right now you will not think that it looks very good because it looks like it's a bit ugly, but that's actually a very good I'm trying to leave white for the highlights of the beach. Okay, now I'm just gonna I'm kind of pressing this brush in, but I'm leaving it again a little gap to give a little idea that it's got joints. Okay. Now this is also there. I don't know if this paint is dried, so let's, yep. Okay. Later on we'll go over this. Right now we're going over with our paintbrush. Okay, and one big swoop for the antenna. And don't worry if it's too thin, if it's too thick. With watercolors, they're very forgiving, so you can go over it. Yes, I'm going to create a little texture. I'm just making this gray. I'm going to dab it. So it creates a stain, but it's not so white, because with a little bit of dry brush, I'm just spreading it. So when I create this layer around it, when I add more color to this part, this will look white. Though, as you can see, it's not, but see, now I'm adding more black to this part, right? And this is now appearing. Oops, that's a mistake. Oopsie. Let's just match that mistake then. Okay. We take a deeper, more golden yellow, and we finish off the shape. And as you can see, there are a few spaces that I'm leaving that are white, because it's okay. It's nice to have a little highlight even in the honeycombs.
Because it's disappearing in all the watercolors, so I'm just adding a little form to my honeycomb. All right, so now this is kind of dried, and I'm going to go in with my ink pen . And then I'm going to just go over the wings. I'm going over the legs because it creates a transparency that the wing is above. Now, if you've noticed a bee's wing, it's actually, there's a pattern even going around it. So I'm drawing a line, drawing line work around. And I'm not trying to be perfect. It'll still look nice and beautiful even if you don't make it perfect. Okay. Oh, I forgot about this.
Now I'm going to just line the corners of this bee because just to create a little depth. I'm just creating a pattern. A little fuzz. I'm assuming this guy has a little fuzz. I'm just going to hatch a little bit around to create depth. I'm going to color the eye a little bit to just make it stand out. Again, if you want to create a little fuzz, if you want, you don't need to, but just to add some drama, some detailing. Gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. The bee has the ability to create honey and the ability to sting. Use your words to create honey and not sting. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope this has been a fun experience. I do share your bees and your honeycombs. And if they're pencil marks, just see if you can erase it like this. I don't know if mine's going to go. If many people want to color or paint this, they can. You can use color pencils, and this is a demonstration of the color pencils that I used. examples. This is watercolor in a coloring page. Then this is color pencil. And finally, something from scratch. Thank you for joining. I hope you have a blessed week and see you next week at Eat, Pray, Art. Bye.